Blackhawks fans, welcome in to Hawks Happy Hour with the Four Feathers podcast. Gianni alongside Tony Marchese. We're getting ready for Blackhawks versus Oilers on this fine Thursday evening, Tony. You know what Thursday means?
I mean, you should crack them because the weekend just started.
The weekend starts on Thursday. That's the title of this Hawks Happy Hour show that we're bringing you here live before, like I said, Blackhawks versus Oilers getting underway from the UC 7:30. So figured jump in, have some pregame beers, jump in the comments. We're going to talk a little bit about the game itself and some other, maybe superstitions, stuff that we do on game day, Tony. So obviously you just cracked a beer. I think that's an essential for talking. What do you need to do on Blackhawks game day to get yourself ready?
I mean, doesn't matter if the team's good, doesn't matter if the team's bad. I think cracking them is probably the first thing to do, at least for me, as we're gearing up for this game. It's a little bit different with hockey, Johnny, because you don't have that tailgate atmosphere. So wherever you're at, whether it's the bar, your basement, garage, family room, friend's house, backyard patio, there's never a bad time to crack a beer and get ready to watch some hockey. I think that's essential number one, like you said, is crack them, have a beer.
Yeah, obviously that's got to be number one on the list. Like when Ron and I did that, how to get through the Blackhawks season episode, the opening night special, if you remember, Tony, number one on the list was my advice to you is to start drinking heavily. So obviously now, like you said, victory beers taste better. Hawks got a lot of those going as of late. It's nice. You and Ron got to enjoy a couple after Tuesday night's win.
We did.
Hopefully we
enjoy that.
Hopefully we get some more tonight. I'm looking forward to that. Other than that, Blackhawks game day prep, Tony, we have a little playlist on Spotify called Four Feathers, and it is all Blackhawks related songs. Obviously you got your Chelsea Dagger, the songs from the Orchard video, all of that. But that's on Spotify. Go and like that on Spotify, add it to your library. That also has a bunch of anything that you would hear at the UC, what they play, at stoppages, intermissions, shit like that. That's all on there. And I try to add that whenever I hear a new one, whenever I go to a game. So I kind of curate that and keep that going. That's always definitely one for me, Tony. Got to get the tunes pumping, to get the blood pumping.
Well, beer, tunes, every time that we're together, we're getting ready for whether it be a White Sox game, a Blackhawks game, the Super Bowl, whatever we're watching, the tunes. And you're excellent at curating these things and putting together these playlists. So I do highly recommend going on Spotify if that's what you use to listen to your music, and go find the Four Feathers podcast Spotify playlist. Johnny, I throw that thing on from time to time. Anytime I'm missing hockey, sometimes even in the dead of summer, you just go throw that on. It's got pretty much everything from the UC. Have you been updating that since the music has changed a little bit? I haven't ventured to the Four Feathers podcast playlist yet on Spotify this year. It's on my to-do list, but have you been updating this thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So on opening night, the home opener, right? They did a whole intro video. So they used some songs during that. Any ones that I could pick out, I added. One that I really like, new edition, Tony, is The Trooper by Iron Maiden. That's always a good, good classic like metal song.
A little cool and tough there.
It definitely gets the boys buzzing. So it definitely worked for the introductions there on the home opener, because obviously they came out with a overtime winner in that game. So that's definitely a new addition. Other than that, like I said, some of them are they have their classics that they always play at the UC. You're always going to get your Ride in the Storm out, other things of that variety. But I try to add whenever I can.
There's some nostalgia on there too.
Yeah, right. We want to hear some nights on there. A lot of good stuff on that Four Feathers playlist. All right, Tony, other than that, I always you got to have your attire right too. I like jerseys, but I wouldn't say I don't always wear a jersey. There's always got to be Blackhawks gear on. And this hat is, I think I've worn this more than any other hat in my life.
I was going to say, I've seen you in that hat more often than not. As you can tell, I'm still rocking the White Sox cap.
Can't let it go. Yeah,
I can't let it go. But for some reason, we talk about superstition, right? A lot. And this season so far, every game I've gone to the Hossa jersey since this winning streak started, right as puck drop. Keeping the White Sox hat active. I've got like 30 different Blackhawks hats. I just haven't figured out which one, but I don't want to mess up the mojo here. Don't want to mess up the mojo. So maybe it was unlucky for the White Sox this year. Obviously it was, because you've seen me in this hat pretty much since the Sox season started. But so far, it's worked out in the Blackhawks' favor. So we are keeping with the superstition. The Winter Classic hosted jersey will be going on right around puck drop, and I'll probably wear that the rest of the night until it's time for bed. Hopefully, drinking victory beers in it. That's been my go-to since this winning streak has started, and will probably continue throughout the season because I feel like it's set the tone. And once you have that attire that sets the tone for the season, there you go. I will say this: haven't really been wearing the sweater, the Hawks sweater, over the past couple of years. More like at the house while the game is on. It's normally been a hoodie or a Hawks t-shirt, but it's paying dividends right now with the Hossa Winter Classic jersey. So we're gonna stick with what's working.
Right, we're on a 4-game win streak, so you got to keep it rolling because what do we always say, Tony, from the great old Bud Light commercials? It's only crazy if it doesn't work. We're not superstitious here at Four Feathers Podcast, but we are a little stitious. So if you have anything like that, let us know on Twitter at Four Feathers Pod, at Untapped Sportsnet. We'd love to hear them. So obviously Tony's got the Hossa jersey. I don't have a jersey going right now, but this hat for sure. This has definitely been the one this year. So going to keep rocking this one. All right, Tony, let's get a little bit into this game. Blackhawks versus Oilers coming up. Like I said, 7:30 puck drop from the United Center here. Little bit of injury news entering this one. Tyler Johnson, unfortunately injured, exited early from Tuesday's game against the Panthers. He went on IR today with a right ankle sprain, likely out 4 to 6 weeks, like what Boris Kachuk is finally getting close to coming back from. So hopefully he'll eventually be an option to replace a spot in the forward group. But for right now, it looks like Jujhar Khaira is going to slide up into the second line winger role and also the net front on the second power play unit. How does it make you feel? Because I feel like there's some good chemistry prior to it, and Jujhar Khaira is not necessarily known for his hands, vision, or speed.
This is something that Ron and I talked about as a potential sort of, I don't want to call it a detriment yet to this team, but losing somebody who's developed that chemistry very early on and is a little bit, I don't even think he's a little, I would just say more skilled player than Jujhar Khaira. You're going to feel that loss, right? So it kind of empties the depth a little bit that you've seen down in the bottom six. When you lose a guy like Tyler Johnson, I saw a lot of people today clamoring for Lukas Reichel to come up and fill that spot. Johnny, I don't know how you feel about that. Obviously, there's options internally that you can go to, but this one's going to hurt a little bit, I think, in terms of just that forward depth that we've somewhat grown accustomed to over the last 4 games. I know that's weird to say, but it seems like it's a little early for the Lukas Reichel thing. I know people are very, very excited about what they've seen. I just don't know if he's really your answer at the moment. Yeah, it would be the sexy option, but we're going to get some Jujhar Khaira.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, that's not the most ideal replacement, especially when you're talking about slotting into a second line role. He's more Jujhar Khaira is best suited for the bottom 6, obviously. However, this is just a situation that they have right now. And I would err on the side that I'll go back to that opening night special that Ron and I did of how to get through the Blackhawks season. Be patient with Lukas Reichel, because guess what? They want him to develop. They want him to ripen. Do you want something to happen to him like happened to Kirby Dach, get him rushed up here, get him Kirby injured, Dach. Right? Mm-hmm. Just think about that line and think about what the goal is this year, right? I know this winning streak is exciting. It's fun to see that. We want to see winning hockey. It's good to see Luke Richardson's aura being instilled in this team. However, the goal, when you look at the end of it, I think everybody can take a step back and understand that this team's not going to the playoffs. This team is more built to get towards the bottom of the league to get one of those top draft picks. So when hopefully they have
winning those.
Right. Yeah. Well, I want them to keep winning too. You obviously want to see that. And like Luke Richardson said, he wants to make Kyle Davidson's job hard. But at the same time, the AHL season has barely gotten underway, Tony. They barely played at all. So they're only a couple games into their thing down there, even further behind the NHL, and they are not going to bring him up this early. So it would take multiple injuries for them to even start cutting into that Rockford depth there. And even then, I think the first forward you'll see up from Rockford is Josiah Slavin. I don't think we're even going to get there, though, because it looks like Jujhar Khaira, or excuse me, not Jujhar Khaira, Boris Kachuk is close. He got back to practice, shed the non-contact jersey, so he's going to be your next replacement up front. So that's just my take on it.
I like the energy that P-Boats is on.
Yeah.
I like the energy that Pete Bones is on here in the YouTube comments. He believes he's heard that Victory Beers taste better. I can, in fact, hashtag confirm that, Johnny, that Victory Beers do taste better. And the only way that you get Blackhawks Victory Beers is when the Blackhawks win. That's why I said it's a lot more fun when they win. You like to offer a little dose of reality, but I might still be a little high on the Hawks after the last victory. And let's talk about something real quick here, Johnny. We did not predict that victory. We both take a loss on that one.
Yeah.
So there's already been some early surprises with this team.
Yeah, I think it's been surprising overall. I don't think when Ron and I, or you and I got on, we didn't expect to be talking about a win streak, right? That was on Sunday when we were talking about, and then we did predictions, which we'll get to prediction for this game, maybe the end of the weekend here in a little bit. But yeah, we both predicted that game against Florida to be a loss. Now I did predict them to win this one tonight. So we'll see if my mind changes between now and then. A couple other notes though, Tony, for this game. That'll mean Reese Johnson, who's been a healthy scratch for the last 4. He'll be back in. He did play the second game of the year at Vegas, but he'll fill that 4th line slot vacated by Jujhar Khaira then. So we got your boy, Alex Daisaitl, back in net. How do you feel about that?
It's the shine wore off a little bit, but I was happy to see him out there playing defense, checking some people in the last game. I mean, I've never seen somebody, it feels like, maybe Marty Turco, come out of his net as far as Alex Daisaitl does. I'd like it if he'd stay home a little bit more, but with that note, he's providing some very entertaining goaltender play thus far into the season, but
he's got some personality to him. I like it.
I like the personality, but I'm also just a little bit nervous that we're gonna give up some goals. Seeing him maybe out near the face-off circle or somewhere crazy at some point this season, and people are gonna be big mad. So I'm preparing myself for that circumstance to happen. Maybe not tonight, but I've got some confidence in this guy. It's maybe not as high as it was earlier on when we talked.
After the Vegas game, he was really solid then.
Yeah, it's kind of dwindled down a little bit, but the Hawks offense and special teams has really done a great job shielding any sort of goaltending, and that he's still come up with some really big saves in some key situations. We'll see what the night shakes out to be here, but I think overall, he's your number one guy right now.
Yeah,
he's going to have to play a majority of these minutes.
Well, he has to be because Peter Mrazek's on IR as well, right? Yes. He's got a groin strain going on. So Alex Daisaitl is by default then number one, but obviously he's been playing like it too. You talked about that maybe a little over aggressiveness leading to goals against. That did happen on Sunday, right? I know there were a bunch of rush chances, some of them not entirely his fault, but there was one where he looked like, that Simpsons meme where the guy walks in the door and takes off his hat, puts on the hook, turns around, takes it back off, and then walks out the door. That's what he looked like, just doing a little loop-de-loop.
He likes to get out there and get active. It's like he's got a Fitbit on and he's trying to track his steps, and he's got to skate as far as he can as a goaltender.
But that was against the Kraken, who obviously are not the same caliber of team as the Edmonton Oilers. So you got McJesus, you got Daisaitl, you got Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, you got Zach Hyman there. I feel like these guys cause some problems, maybe take advantage of that. So maybe Alex Daisaitl be better advised to stay a little bit closer to the cage tonight. That's what I got on that front. All right. It is talking about the opponent here. I mentioned some of those names. We all know the big names for Edmonton. They are starting their first road trip of the year. This is the second of a back-to-back for them. They played last night in St. Louis. I watched most of that game, Tony. They won 3-1 against St. Louis. However, there was one interesting note. Connor McDavid got shaken up in a game on Monday, and he had to go down to the tunnel. He did return to that game and obviously played all of last night, still picked up an assist last night. However, he only took 2 faceoffs, usually a centerman. They ended up sending in Ryan Nugent-Hopkins there. This is something the Blackhawks should look to exploit. How can they do it?
Hey, you don't know what you're going to get out of Connor McDavid tonight. Obviously, this is a developing story/situation for him. We'll see how he gets deployed, but the scouting report here says, take advantage of the opportunities that are given to you. This is an elite player. I don't think we have to spend a lot of time talking about how good Connor McDavid is, but if you can pick your matchups here at home, and he is not part of the face-off contingent for Edmonton tonight, I would look for Richardson to just go out there and deploy Taves against those top lines a little bit, get your best face-off guys out there. It's not just Jonathan Taves. You can go
Max
through Max Domi. You can throw any of those guys out there against these top lines, win some face-offs. It doesn't have to be your third line trying to go out there and shut these guys down, so to speak, as you would normally see in those types of situations up against McDavid. So I think if he's not taking as many face-offs, Johnny, the Hawks might be able to just flip the script on this one a little bit and provide a little bit of offense against Edmonton's less defensive top lines. So we'll see how they want to stack up on this, but that's exactly what I would do. I'd at least take a couple chances early in the first period, see what you can do and roll out there top line against top line and see if you can blow by somebody here, especially if you get the face-off advantage. So we'll see how they want to structure this, but I think it'll take a little bit of time to settle into this game. So I'm looking more at like midway through the first. How many face-offs has he taken? Are they planning on using him? And you just got to adjust on this, Johnny. You have to adjust to what your opponent's giving you. And I think if we see what we saw last night out of Edmonton, the Hawks will be able to use that to their advantage.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Definitely watch for those matchups there. Obviously, the Blackhawks' third line didn't get broken up, even with the Tyler Johnson injury. So you have.
I don't think you can break that line up.
You have a variety of options, and I feel like that is a line that they would want to run out there when you're talking about Sam Lafferty, flanked by Jason Dickinson and Philip Kurashev. Obviously, they've developed some nice chemistry early on in the season. So will be interesting to see on McDavid. Another thing I was going to mention, I know it's hard to catch up to him. He's still fast, but if he's a little shaken up, it's not that you're trying to injure the guy, but make it tough on him, right? Use your physicality a little bit. Jared Tenorti, Connor Murphy, those types of guys down low against them in a board battle, put a shoulder into him, right? Obviously, that should kind of be the game plan. But if you know he's reeling a little bit and he's trying to shy away from some contact, then make him earn it, right? That's how it should be, playing hard, denying any sort of easy looks for the Edmonton Oilers. All right, predictions for this game. Tony, and we also got, we've got I feel like we can run this because, as my name says here, weekend plans hockey. There's back-to-back coming up. There's a Saturday night game in Buffalo, Sunday game in back home at the UC against Minnesota for one of those great 6:00 starts. So let's as we close this thing down, Hawks happy hour here. Let's roll with some predictions for the weekend, which includes tonight because the weekend starts on Thursday.
2-1, Johnny. That's what I'm looking for here. Let's keep these wins coming. As our guy P-Bodes in the comments said, victory beers taste better. It's the weekend. We want victory beers all weekend. Obviously, I'm not going to get greedy, but I'm starting to get greedy because of the recency, because of the envelopes that have been delivered to Hawks fans, full of victory beers. I want more. I think, right now the Hawks are playing hot, Johnny, and you've said this many times. It's not who you play, it's when you play them. So if the Hawks want to continue to ride this and keep bringing me victory beers, I'm all for it. 2-1 through the weekend. I think they win tonight and they go 1-1 in the back-to-back. That's my early prediction here.
Right. Yeah, I got it. You know what? You and I made some predictions for the week, right? Back when we did a show on Sunday after that game against the Kraken. And I predicted a loss against Florida, a win against Edmonton, a loss against Buffalo, and a win against Minnesota, alternating there. I'm going to go ahead and I'll keep with my prediction tonight. I can't turn back on it, Tony, right? That'd be blasphemous against my team. So I'm going to go. Blackhawks will gut one out. Probably won't be extremely pretty, but they'll be able to get the job done tonight. So I'll go with the win here, and I'll stick with that rest of the weekend plan then too. Loss at Buffalo. It's, you got a long home stretch here. They're going to be coming home after. It's just a quick trip out there. You possibly get Arvid Soderblom next. He's going to get one of these games this weekend.
Very interested to see how he does.
Yeah, I'll go with the loss Saturday in Buffalo, unfortunately. But back home Sunday night, great 6:00 start. As I mentioned, win over the Minnesota, mild because they are back to that. I don't care if they got a little bit of a bounce back from their rough start. Overall, that cap crunch is hitting them this year. Marc-Andre Fleury, I know he can still do some acrobatic things in net, but he has not gotten off to the start that he would have liked this year either. So they're also playing tough team up in Ottawa right now. It's giving them a little bit of a test. So I'll go with the win back on Sunday night. So once again, 2-1, finish the weekend here. weekend full of hockey, Tony. Can't beat it.
You can't. I'm really excited for this. Oh, we've got emails coming through, of course, right when I unmute and try and talk. But it's a weekend of hockey, like you said. There was a long stretch where we didn't have any hockey, and now we get to reap the rewards of gutting through all of that. It's just good to have plans through the weekend of watching our favorite hockey team play. And hopefully, like we said, deliver us some more victory beers. I'm excited for puck drop tonight, Johnny. I'm getting a little antsy.
Yeah, I am too. The boys just took the ice for warm-ups here. I'll read you off the lines. Top, Athanasiu, Domi, Kane, Kara, as we expected on the left wing as second line with Taves and Radish, Philip Kurashev, Dickinson, and Lafferty. That third line stays together. Blackwell, Entwistle, Reese Johnson does indeed enter. So all of those kind of predictions from Morning Skate coming true up front. Back end stays the same. Jack Johnson, Seth Jones, Jared Tenorti, and Connor Murphy, Jake McCabe, Caleb Jones for the third pair, and Alex Stalock in net. Philip Ruse is your healthy scratch. Hey, ready to rock and roll. I'm sure the boys are getting pumped up. Hopefully, I'll listen to some of the songs that are on the Four Feathers playlist during those pregame warmups, Tony. I'm about to go throw that on myself as we get ready for this game.
That sounds good. I've got to go make it upstairs, grab that hosted jersey. Might throw on some Four Feathers podcast playlist myself as we get set for what should be a nice night of hockey. Let's hope the Hawks come out strong and set the tone in the first period. I like the way that they've scored early in the last game, and then piggyback that off of 2 comeback victories. They found ways to win. I'd like to see them take control of this game. I know you were saying before we got into some predictions and stuff that this was going to be more of a potentially sloppy game and gut one out. I'd like to see him just stomp Connor McDavid. I think one of my favorite moments of the recent Blackhawks era was the Hawks series with the Edmonton Oilers during that COVID-shortened season, going back into the playoffs, and Jonathan Taves being able to help his team get past Connor McDavid's team up there in Edmonton.
Yeah, and so there's in their locker room too.
Celebrate in their locker room. So I don't think that the Hawks and the Oilers really have a rivalry, but if you're an Edmonton Oilers fan, that one's still got a sting.
Yeah.
So I would hope that the Hawks continue to be trouble for the Edmonton Oilers, Johnny.
Right. Get hot. They already got hot. Stay hot. That's the goal tonight. All right, everybody. Thank you for turning into Hawks Happy Hour here with the Four Feathers Podcast. Go give us a follow on Twitter at Four Feathers Pod and at OnTap Sportsnet. Check out OnTapSportsnet.com for a post-game recap and roundup takeaways, all of that good stuff. Plenty of other Blackhawks content coming through throughout the season as well. So, Tony, time to crack a beer. Get ready for the game. Let's go, Hawks.
Let's go, Hawks.